on the News Channel 5 network. This is OpenLine.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to OpenLine. I'm Carrie Sharp, as always. Thank you for joining us. Glad you're on board. It's going to be a lively discussion tonight, as always. I have Chris Sanders here with me with the Tennessee Equality Project. Thank you for being here, Chris.
Well, Carrie, thank you for having us tonight.
I hope we have a good conversation. We're going to be talking about the bathroom bill, and this is kind of like bathroom bill 3.0, because we've dealt with this over the last couple of sessions. It's back, but in a little bit different form. So kind of walk us through this journey, if you wouldn't mind.
Sure. I love the way you put that, because it helps the viewers know that this is a bathroom bill, but it is a different one. There is an important change that I think it's important that your viewers understand. So this bill would say that the Attorney General of the state will help defend any school district that restricts bathroom usage to what's on a student's birth certificate. Or it would pick up the legal fees. The state would pick up the legal fees if a local school district is sued over its bathroom policy. So from our point of view, if transgender students were discriminated against in the bathroom that they used, and there were a policy and there were a lawsuit, let's say the school district lost, the state, not the local school district, would be responsible for the funds.
Right. And Representative McCormick out of Chattanooga brought this bill to fruition this session. His concern, as I have read articles on it, is that many of these local school districts don't have the money to defend, let's say, against the ACLU if a lawsuit is brought. So he's trying to protect a small school district from having to go up against the big guy, basically.
Well, right. And this is a very important point, and I want to say this gently, because there have been so many bathroom bills. He actually withdrew his bill.
Yes.
And that was at the beginning of session, and now we have one that is very similar to his from Representative Holt and Senator Hensley.
Gotcha.
So that's kind of, it's been such a strange mix that it's been hard to keep track of, but that's kind of where we are. So we had the old school bathroom bills that were complete ban on you using a restroom unless it corresponded to the one on your birth certificate, that sex. Then we had Representative McCormick's bill at the beginning of the legislative session that's like the one we have now, and now we have the third version, 3.0, as you said, that is more about legal fees and picking up the legal fees of local school districts if they engage in this kind of discrimination and lose in court.
And let's just walk this back a little bit further, because I think it is worth explaining, because we have talked about it so much in the news, but this we have not talked about.
That's right.
So in the past, 2016, 2017, that's when the bathroom bill really became a topic in the news, and a story.
That's
and
exactly
that was saying that a student has to use the restroom that corresponds with the sex on their birth certificate.
Exactly.
So if you had a transgender student who, let's say, was born physically as a boy but identified now as a girl, and they wanted to use the girls' restroom, this bill would say no.
Yeah, that's what the bill
proposed
in 2016 and 2017 would have done. That's right.
Those did not happen. Then the Obama administration came in, set the law saying, no, this is not going to happen federally. The Trump administration has sounded off and said, we're going to reverse the Obama declaration. Here we are today.
That's right.
Okay, so I just want to bring everybody up to speed.
That's a great summary. Yeah.
It's kind of hard to keep track of, and that's why we're here today. This is OpenLine. This is your chance to ask questions, to make comments. The number is right there on the screen. 615-737+ is the number to call tonight. Taylor's in the back. He will line those callers up, and we'll take them just as soon as we get them. But let's talk about the status of this bill. What's happening? It's very topical this week.
It is. This is a very important week for the bill. It is what we call on notice. That means that the sponsor of the bill is going to try to move the bill or advance the bill in a subcommittee this week. And it is in the House of Representatives Civil Justice Subcommittee. And that subcommittee will be meeting at 1:30 on Wednesday, and it will look at several bills, and this is one of them that's on the calendar. It got a little bit of discussion last week, but there was no vote on the bill. We would expect the likelihood of a vote on the bill this Wednesday.
So the committee votes, then what?
Then it would, if they vote yes, then it would go to the full Civil Justice Committee, And it would eventually, if it passed there, it would reach the House floor. It has not started moving in the Senate yet. And in Tennessee, identical bills have to move through both houses in order to reach the governor's desk for a signature or a veto or whatever. So it hasn't moved in the Senate yet, but if it starts advancing in the House, we believe that it would start moving in the Senate very quickly. Why do you think the last two go-rounds the bill has been doomed? Partly it's because of the cost to the state. It's not because our politicians widely across the state have embraced the transgender community, although I do think there is growing understanding and acceptance, but it's slow. It's slower than in many other states across the country. But I think it's the cost involved, and I think some of that's related to the litigation, some of it was the possibility of federal funds being withheld, and some of the cost, and this is a point I think we'll really want to explore, is the possibility of losing economic investment from so many companies. Like happened in North Carolina when they passed their bathroom bill. Conventions stopped going there. Companies said, we're not going to build there. That's right. And they ended up having to backpedal a bit. That's right. No, for me, this is a moral issue. I think this is an immoral bill. It's immoral and wrong to attack people who are already persecuted. But for the general public, many of them will view it as an economic issue. Is this something we can really afford? This image for Tennessee that will stop and maybe even reverse some vital investment that brings jobs to our state. Let's jump to the line. We have Victoria on the line. Hi, Victoria.
Hello, how are you?
Good, thanks for calling in. How you doing?
I'm good. I just think I need to put a thing out there. I just think men should be going to men's restroom and women should go to women's restroom. It doesn't matter what kind of gender you are. Just because there's sexual predators out there as well. And I just feel like it's strongly, as a parent, you know, I don't want my kid to get, you know, sexualized with, you know, a man going into a woman's restroom.
Sure. Victoria, I know you're not alone in that feeling, and Chris, I know it's not the first time if you've heard this, because I remember the whole Target debate, that blew up everywhere. Right. How do you respond to that? Transgender women are women, period. Transgender girls are girls, period. Trans men are men, trans boys are boys. They are not going in there to attack anyone. People go into the restroom to use the restroom. Sexual assault, if that's what you're worried about, is already illegal. It will always be illegal. And we have ways of dealing with that right now. Trans people are more likely to be attacked if they're in a restroom that doesn't fit their gender identity than they are to be an attacker. So, in a formal level, I agree with the caller. Women should be in women's restrooms and men should be in men's restrooms. We have a difference of opinion as to who counts as a man and who counts as a woman. There are a lot of people who think that if we had a bill that said, well, we go back to what the bathroom bills were in the past two sessions, that said, as you know, what it was saying. But anyhow, that it would open the door, so to speak, for predators to disguise themselves or do what they needed to get into a women's bathroom and then find someone to attack. A predator could already hide in a stall if I assume we're talking about a male predator. Right. If he wanted to. And you know, a lot of predatory behavior has nothing to do with gender identity. We think about the sexual predators who have been cast out of the legislature in the last few years. That had nothing to do with what bathroom one was going into. If someone is inclined to be a sexual predator, it's not a question of gender identity. It has nothing to do with the bathrooms. So it's interesting to me that this suddenly comes up with respect to trans people, a minority group that's already heavily persecuted, bullied, picked on. Why suddenly we put our fears about sexual predators on a group that is so heavily attacked? Isn't that interesting? Don't you believe it comes down to understanding? I think you're right. I think increasingly as people get to know a transgender person, people will feel comfortable and realize that fears are unfounded. And I think increasingly people are doing that. As we see more trans movie stars, celebrities, people in all walks of life and professions, people are getting more comfortable. But I can tell you that your children know either gender nonconforming or transgender children. Every county I go to in Tennessee,
I either meet trans kids or parents of trans kids. Every county, the reddest, most conservative county in the state, you pick it, there are trans people there and gender nonconforming people there. They are your neighbors. So I think it is an issue of understanding, and I hope people will open the door and allow that to happen.
Let's jump to Susan on the line. Susan, thank you for calling in.
Yes.
Hi there, go ahead.
Hi. Well, I was calling in and I was listening, and I heard them say that it was an issue of understanding. That may be, but I think it's more of an issue of acceptance. We are being asked to accept something that's different that we don't understand. But I have two daughters that are in school, and I would like to think that when they went in the girls' bathroom, that there will be other girls in that bathroom. And it sounds like maybe the solution, rather than forcing them to be in a bathroom with boys, would be to maybe have a gender-neutral bathroom throughout the school that the students could use, that, you know, that were the transgender, instead of having all of the girls be exposed to having boys in their bathroom. And I'll end it with that.
Okay, thank you, Susan, for your call. And I know some school districts have started that, and I think a lawsuit was brought after a school district said, okay, to this trans student, you go use the teacher's lounge, and that will solve all this. But it didn't solve all this, because it makes it still an issue.
When the state acts, and a public school district is the state acting, it cannot do separate but equal, because separate is not equal. We've established that legal principle, that philosophical principle. It's basic to our understanding of our country now. We've been through periods of different kinds of segregation, and we don't believe in that. We don't do that anymore. And you could try that temporarily, but in the end, that's not America.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, I agree with the callers when they say they want boys in the boys' room and girls in the girls' room. But trans girls are girls and trans boys are boys, and they're going into the restroom to use the restroom. I don't know what you're imagining maybe that is going to happen, but they have to use the restroom like everyone else.
The breakdown is that some people don't believe that a trans boy is a boy. I mean, that's what it really comes down to, or a trans girl is a girl. They're still looking at that person as what they were born as a child physically.
Right, and it's a curious thing to try to impose gender on someone else, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, I do think that is what's happening, so I think you've given an accurate description. I think we also need to step back from that and say, why do we have a stake in that? Why do we suddenly have fears about safety when it becomes an issue of someone's self-definition of gender? Why does that raise the flag? Why aren't we always thinking about school safety? Why are we not making all restrooms single stall, single occupancy, where students can truly be safe? If there's a risk of assault or bullying in the restroom, then we need to make the physical structures of the restroom safe. It's not an issue of gender causing violence in that situation.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, I want to hear some personal stories that you've heard from people around the state. I'm sure you have them, Chris. Stay with us, and we have Connie on the line as well, and some others. We're going to get to those right after this break. Stay with us.